Scott Zastrow. So, Scott.
Thanks, man.
Love you, brother.
Thanks. Thank you. If you ask my family back there and Carla, thank you for those nice words, but if you ask them, I'm absolutely not as cool as they say I am. So let's just start out with that. Before I begin, I really want to say thank you to a couple people. Amy, I know you hate it when I bust you out, but she is the bedrock of our foundation. Like, without a doubt. Like, first of all, it can't be a good job to be in charge of guys like me and Will and Lyle and Maddie, right? But she takes it in stride, man. Like, we come at her with the horns, and she's like a matador, and she just pushes us aside. And get all this together in 90 days with all that stuff you see and all the people that are here and all the money we raised, amazing. You are the queen bee of what we do. Like, we can't do anything like it. I also want to thank one of my absolute favorite human beings, Joey Mack, the smoking panda back there. If you get a chance to get one of his cigars from today, he's a Marine Corps veteran. He's an entrepreneur. The guy literally is crushing it in life, like got out of the Marines and now he owns $1 million business. He employs over 75 people that are retired, military, EMS, fire, police. They do over hundreds of events a week around the country, and he takes out of his time every time we have an event to come set up personally because he loves what we do for guys. So, Joey, I love you, bro. Yeah. I also want to thank my niece, Emily, for coming home from college to hang out with her has-been uncle for a couple days. Will said I grew up here. I graduated from Brookfield Central. I was in the Army for 30 years. I've been around the world in combat for more than 20 years. I've had 2 surgeries on my shoulder, a surgery on each knee. I got pins in my ankle. I shattered my wrist to the point where I can barely swing a golf club anymore. All for shit. Ask those guys. All for shit money, and just so I had enough cash to come back here every year and go pontooning on the Fox River with my family and have that little girl call me her hero. I love it. All right, that's enough. I would also like to thank that lady that sang the national anthem this morning. I don't know where she is, but that was absolutely amazing. I know in the last dozen years or so that song's kind of been controversial to some people. But it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to some other people, and I'll tell you why. So, in 2001, I'll try to keep this short. In 2001, 9/11 happened. Our team got called to be the first team in Afghanistan. So we were like, of course we're going. So we go in. They flew us in the middle of the night, about 50 miles outside of the capital city, Kabul. So pretty much we flew into Waukesha. And so we hook up with our partnered forces, the Northern Alliance. They had about 1,500 people, and the Taliban had the capital city, and they had about 15,000 people. So we get there, and we're like, hey, we're Americans. We're here to help you guys. And they're like, awesome. Now we got 1,510. They ought to put a real dent in the battle, right? So we're like, okay, what do we do? And what Billy told a story last night, we were supposed to be there for about a year. Our mission was to kind of like get a lay of the land and see where the enemy was and make maps and try to find places that we could go and maybe bring in some regular Army people to kind of maybe move on the city in about a year. So that's what we did, right? So that was our job. It was very absurd, right? You ever see that cartoon when you were a kid and had the sheepdog and the wolf, and they would clock in the morning, hey Frank, hey Bill, and they would fight all day, and then the whistle would blow, and they'd be like, see you tomorrow, guys. That's pretty much how we fought a war. So we would get up in the morning, we'd have our coffee, and we would just kind of go prod the area, like we'd go down to Cudahy, and we'd go over to Menominee, and we'd be like, and we did, in the Army terms, we call it a movement to contact, which is, we're just gonna drive until people start shooting at us, and then we're gonna shoot back and run away. And if we get a chance, we'll call in some F-16s, and Will would drop bombs on them to kind of make sure we got away without, and we still had everybody, nobody got killed. It was awesome, and then, so we did that for a few months. And then one day, we come out for our coffee, and there's like 1,000 people standing in the streets. And we're like, what's going on here? And their general came up to us, and he's like, we will take Kabul today. And we all looked at each other, and we're like, do you think that's a good idea? Because there's still like 15,000 assholes over there that really want to kill us. And they were like, well, we're going. You guys can stay if you want. We're going. And we looked at each other, and we're like, well, what do we do? So we got together. We made a little football play in the dirt, and we're like, we're going to split up. Half of us are going to go this way, and half of us are going to go this way. So Will went to the north, and me and Billy went to the south. And probably because the north had a bigger fight, so we were like, screw that, we're going to the south. They had, the north had like all the tanks and the trucks and the artillery and whatever, so they had a much harder fight than we did. So we got to the city, we fought our way in, had a couple scuffles in there, but we got in, and so we're like, okay, we're here now, what do we do now? And so, did you ever play the game Risk when you were a kid? Had the little Roman numerals and you would roll dice or whatever? So we're like, well, let's do that. Let's just put all our forces into one street and just move to the next block and leave one asshole on the corner and then do it again until we got as far as we can go. So we did that for a couple hours, and then we started getting a little more resistance. We started getting more firefights. We started taking some casualties, and morale started to go down pretty fast, right? Like we were starting to question whether or not we made the right call. You know, did we bite off more than we could chew? Is this really the right thing to do? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the ground beneath our feet started to shake. And buildings started to rumble, and glass was falling out of the towers or out of the buildings or whatever. And we look over at Frank, and he's got this big freaking grin on his face. And we're like, what's going on? And it was Scotty Briscoe and them dropping a B-52 strike on the assholes up north. And he was just looked at us, and he was like, proof through the night, brother. And we knew exactly what he meant, right? Like, our flag is still there. The boys are still alive, and they're still kicking ass. And we just got this sense of emotion and overwhelming just adrenaline and power, and we felt. Did you ever see Endgame, the Avengers movie? At the end, when the Captain America's by himself and Thanos and all his dudes are coming at him, and all of a sudden he hears on your left, and all the little yellow things happen, and the wizard dude comes out, and Spider-Man comes out, and the Wakanda people come out, and they all look at each other, and they're like, yeah, and then they go win the war. I got to live that, and it was fucking amazing, right? Like, and so once that happened, within 24 hours, we had taken the whole city, and we were standing on the steps of the American Embassy. And it was such an amazing time to meet your boys on the other side. It was awesome. So that's why that song means something important to me. And that's just my story, right? He's got a story like that, and she's got a story like that. And there's probably thousands and thousands of veterans out there that have a similar story to that. Right? I mean, it means something there. Like, that song is important. That line is important, right? That's why there's an inflection of pitch, right? Like, and the rockets, like it's signifying that this part is important. So that song's important. So maybe it'll mean something a little different to you tonight, but that's what you're all doing here. You're giving proof through the night that our flag is still there to all these veterans that are here. To all the veterans that we've helped and will help, is people still give a shit. And this is proof right there. I played with guys today that are members here, right? Like, they pay a membership, dudes. They can play this course whenever they want. They don't have to pay extra money to play with some washed up SF guy, right? But they did it anyway. Like, if that's not proof that our flag is still there, then brother, I don't know what is, right? So on behalf of Project One Vet at a Time, all of us, all the veterans that we help, Carla, like, I thank you. So if you're a veteran in the room, I would like you to give these people a round of applause for helping us and stepping up today and giving us what we want. So thank you all for coming out. I appreciate it. I hope I didn't talk too long. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Tim?